I got the notion that they mouths is open and all that's just talking when they ain't comparing to me. They ain't comparing to me. They ain't comparing to me. Take a closer look and you see they ain't comparing. By the time
Yo YouTube, what's up? I'm Tim, he's AC, this is the Cash Going AC Sports Report. NBA training camps were canceled today. I think like 40 preseason games are canceled, and the outlook for the season does not look good. We're going to go through a few scenarios about whether you would want your favorite players to go overseas and play somewhere else. Now, the big one has been Kobe Bryant. Kobe received a $6.7 million offer from a team in Italy. I think the biggest question here, if you are a fan of, let's take Kobe Bryant for this example, because he's been the main guy that's been out there. If you're a fan of Kobe Bryant, do you want to see him go play overseas, or do you want to see him rested? Let's say the season starts in January, AC. Would you want to see Kobe Bryant go over a couple months?
I would absolutely want to see that, because I would want to see him, dedicated to the game of basketball, working hard, no matter who he's playing for. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, if I'm a fan of him, but I'd like to see him working hard. If it's in Italy, then it's in Italy. If it's in America, then it's in America. And the thing I have is people say, well, you're still not going to get to see him play. I think they'll broadcast some of those European games if guys like Kobe Bryant, I think Kevin Durant, and who else, like Chris Paul, I think got an offer to go play over there. They'll broadcast some of those games over here, so it's not like you won't get to see play, and it's good work for them, so, why not?
Yeah, I think I agree. The 3-month thing, I would almost say hold out, but it's like, if you hold out, then if there's not a season, you're basically screwed. I mean, someone would pick you up, but the big offers are going to come for you to go play a full season and just be able to have a contract where you can opt out of the deal straight up and really have no consequences, or in some cases a very small one. If I'm a fan of Kobe Bryant, especially a guy who's 32, 33, something he's past his prime, I definitely want to see him stay in shape. If you're talking about a guy who's like 24, it doesn't necessarily bother me, but if I'm a fan of the guy, then I would want to see him stay, or I would want to see him play. But if you're 24 or you're 24, if you don't play, well. Now, full season, if there's no season, I'm going to take it that you would basically take the same stance then?
Yeah, same exact stance. You want to see him get a little bit of basketball in at least. I mean, it's important for these guys. I mean, they're professional athletes, but they're human too. And if they have a whole season off, you could make the argument that the whole NBA would have that same effect. So the competition level would be lowered the year after that. But if I'm a fan of a guy, I'd still like to see him go play elsewhere and keep playing the game and stay in shape.
Yeah, I basically agree with that. I think no matter what, you're going to see some players go, like Kobe Bryant. I think eventually will go play somewhere. I haven't really heard much about, like, LeBron James and Derrick Rose, guys like that. But we'll see what happens. I think certain guys are saying, I don't want to risk getting hurt over there, and that's kind of one of the risks you take. But you also take the risk if the season starts in January that basically you're not in as good a shape as you normally are, and you could get hurt from that, but it would probably be a smaller injury, so we'll have to see. Now, as far as the whole lockout, we'll update that as we might as well right now. I don't think there's going to be a season from everything I'm hearing, and I'm in favor of them working this out no matter if it's in the cost of the season or not, because while the product of the NBA has picked up, the issue with the NBA is there are so many bad teams because there are so many bad contracts. The money needs to come down in terms of how much you're paying these players, and they need to get a harder cap, because you can't have 5 and 6. You can't have teams with losing records making the playoffs. It's a joke that they let 8 teams in, but you should at least have 8 teams that have records over 500. If you're talking about putting in a team that's 38 and 42 into the playoffs, like really, or 44 into the playoffs, it's bad for the game, and it's because some of these smaller places can't attract the big players, and some of them don't have the money to do it, so they overpay for the medium-type players, and they screw themselves even more. Now, I remember doing a video a while ago with Bruce Blitz and Joseph from the Blitz Hardcore podcast, and both of them saying, we want to see that you're losing money because you're the ones that are giving out these bad contracts, and I agree with that, but I think there is something screwed up with the way they're doing these contracts.
They make way too much money. Let's put it plain and simple. They make way too much money. And guys like, the big name guys like LeBron, Dwight, they've driven up the price for everybody else. Whether and these teams, they get stuck in these bad deals where maybe a guy gets injured. Like let's take Yao Ming for example. They gave him a pretty big contract, and he's been injury plagued his whole career. And look what's happened to the Rockets. They lost Tracy McGrady. They lost Ming. Like I said, I mean their whole franchise just plummeted. And you can't have that happen. You can't have teams with losing records fighting, kind of for a championship, and they're just going to get ousted in the first round. And that's why the first round of the NBA playoffs is a joke, and that's why a lot of the regular season is kind of a joke too. I'm not a huge NBA fan, but I agree, something needs to be changed, and they need to work this out, whether it takes a month, 2 months, or a season.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of people who are in the same boat as you. Me, I was more in the same boat as you last year. The whole LeBron versus the world and the storylines of last year really got me back into it, especially around playoff time. But prior to this season, I was just really out of it. The Sixers have just... they're an organization that just frustrates me, and being a Sixers fan, we're kind of screwed into that. I think if you get a harder cap, then you're in a situation where you're going to have more fans because you're going to get better teams. It's not going to happen in 1 year, but in 6 years, yeah, you could be talking about good things. And some of these franchises have got to go. That's the bottom line. Teams like the New Orleans Hornets, who just cannot support that franchise any longer. When Chris Paul leaves, you can kiss that franchise goodbye. And places like Seattle need to get teams back. I'm not necessarily against just overall trimming a few teams off to the point where you have 26 or 27 teams rather than having 30. That wouldn't really bother me, and maybe it bothers some of the people who are used to seeing it that way, but I'd rather see 25 teams and 6 teams in the playoffs than 30 teams and 8 teams in the playoffs and 6 teams that lose 70 games, not 70 games, 55 or 60 games. I'd rather see that.
I completely agree. Teams like these small market teams, like the Bucks and the Timberwolves, you see their games and you see the highlights from their games, and it looks like there's 5 people in the stands.
The Sixers.
Yeah, the Sixers even. It's ridiculous. And this is like the 4th biggest sports market in the country, and you're talking about a team that's just a joke to the people that live around here. So something's got to change. They got to get some brains in the office. I think first of all, that's the first thing that needs to change is they need to get some intelligence in the people that are running this.
Yeah, they got to get rid of David Stern. Is basically what you're getting at.
Yes, that's basically what I was about to say. So, I mean, you put some intelligence, put some effort into the negotiations, and maybe you'll actually get somewhere. We'll see.
Yeah, and they need to fix the draft. They need to make the draft to the point where it's the best team gets the 32nd pick and the worst team gets the first pick. John Wall should have been on the Nets, and I'm not a Nets fan, but that's how it should have been. The same way they need to add non-guaranteed contracts or incentives, something like that. I mean, you've heard me say this over and over by now in the few videos I've done about this. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the people running the NBA are doing. I don't know why they wouldn't agree with me on this, but I think it's going to take a while for them to agree with anybody on anything, because the part that's really pissing me off about this is you hear, oh, they might meet in a week. They should be meeting every day if they want to have a season this year. That should be the goal. And if they know they're not going to have a season this year, then they should be still meeting every day to get something done as soon as possible.
People talk about how greedy the owners and the players both were in the NFL lockout and everything. You're seeing it to a new level in this, because they don't even seem to me like they're trying to get anything done. They just say, oh, we'll do it later, we'll put it off, we'll wait till the season, wait till people start getting mad, and then we'll maybe attempt to get something done, because we don't care, because the money's in our pockets anyway. You know what I mean? So that to me seems extremely greedy, and that's basically what this lockout is. It's just pure greed, and we're seeing the NFL lockout just all over again, but I think it's going to be taken to a new level with this.
Yeah, and there's some greats in the game right now. Kobe, LeBron, guys like that. And you got to think, once those guys are past their primes, and once the storyline of everyone hating the Miami Heat and all the big three in every city, the Boston, Miami, once New York gets one, something like that, once those go away, we're going to be looking at what we were looking at 2 years ago with the NBA. A bunch of bad teams and a bunch of good and like 3 or 4 teams that have a legit shot at winning the NBA Finals. The Mavs winning the NBA Finals, that's the type of thing that is the problem with the NBA, is things like that don't usually happen. Teams that are the 7th or 6th best team don't usually win. It's usually the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd best team wins, and they play the 2nd or 3rd best team, or whatever order you're talking there. And that's the problem with the NBA right now, is you don't have enough parity. It's not like baseball where there's teams that are in it, or a different team at least wins the World Series. Usually most years people say, oh, the Yankees win every year. No, they don't. People just choose not to watch when the Yankees aren't in it. That's the difference. We've had 6 different World Series winners in the last 6 years. So, I mean, there's parity in the MLB. In the NBA, you've had the Lakers twice. You've had the Celtics, who have been right there every year. The Mavs. I mean, you talk about the same teams. Even look at the 2000s. The 3 teams, the Pistons, Lakers, and Spurs. Those teams probably won 50% of the championships. That should not be how the league is. And that's the bottom line. They need to put in a harder cap. They need to fix a lot of things, take teams away. And this isn't going to be a pretty process, and it's not going to be a short one. But in the end, hopefully they come out on top better. I'm Tammy Zacy. We'll see you later.